Not tech savvy. Hey,
All right. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Trainer Talk podcast, episode 4, I think, right, Colin? Episode 4?
yeah, episode 4.
Episode 4. Today, we have a special guest, Rob Riker. Rob is an online coach who he's actually a coach for coaches. He helps coaches scale their one-on-one coaching businesses to 10K a month or more. So we're very excited to have him on here. And yeah, how are you doing today, Rob?
I'm awesome, man. Yeah, I'll just briefly explain kind of what I do just so people have a good sense of where I'm coming from and what excites me about coming on here. So as you mentioned, I help beginning stage coaches, so people who either haven't started or they've tried started but they're kind of struggling. I help them build an online coaching business so that they can make like their first $5,000, make that type of money every month, realize that it's real, and then kind of move into the stages where they want to scale it and take it to where they want to be.
Yeah.
What excites me about coming on here is because I know you guys are fitness trainers, you help people get in shape, and they're kind of two different niches, right? I help coaches, you guys help people get in shape. But I wouldn't say I'm your target market per se, but I can probably relate to a lot of those people. I'm not a fitness coach, but I really care about getting in shape and stuff. And so I can talk about some of the things I do in my life because I do take a lot of interest in getting in shape and stuff like that. And so I think we can dive into a lot of that as well. So I'm stoked, man.
100%, brother. Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things about Twitter and about the online business space is that you'll meet people, like there's kind of fitness over here, but then there's also like kind of money Twitter, right? As the whole kind of like general superset. And so you meet people and kind of other like sort of related, but not 100% the same niche, which is why, I mean, Colin, right? I mean, like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is basically why we kind of put this podcast together, is to kind of show how there's kind of some unity there and kind of explore some of those common themes, right?
yeah. Ultimately, I mean, yeah, you're not a fitness coach, but I'm about 100% positive with. I mean, you don't look fat at all, so I'm assuming that some way that the fitness helps you inspire with business, whether that's gets you motivated, whether you can correlate one part of fitness to your business coaching,
Yeah.
and can help your clients in that aspect of it.
Yeah. And just to touch on that, I mean, I think I tweeted this yesterday or today or sometime recently. I said the number one skill you can build as an entrepreneur is a muscle building habit, or like the number one habit is a muscle building habit. It's like, I truly believe the best thing for your productivity, for your energy, for your creativity, for your confidence, just for achieving goals, is to get in the gym. Or it doesn't have to be lifting per se, although I do have a heavy bias towards at least something that's going to put muscle on you. And I truly believe that is the number one habit you can develop. So that's also something that really kind of binds these two together.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I think a lot of those kind of themes go hand in hand to like what you're saying, and the consistency and the day-to-day, like showing up every day, doing it even if you don't always feel like it. That's really the biggest overlap that I see. But cool. Yeah, Rob, the first kind of big question, you kind of already hit on this a little bit with just kind of giving you a brief little overview of what you do. But first kind of big question for you is like, I guess maybe what made you want to hop in and dive into this online coaching space, man?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll try to sum it up as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 16 years old, and that just planted the seed of like entrepreneurship. It's like, if you want to build wealth and create financial freedom, the best way to do that is through business. You can work a job and you can make a good income, but you're kind of always stuck to that job. And the way to kind of build wealth is you build a business that you can eventually step away from, which we can get into the specifics of how do you step away from a coaching business in a little bit. But the whole thing around business is you control the income you make. You're not dependent on the raises your employers give you. If you build an actual business, you can eventually step away from it. And so that planted the seeds when I was 16. I still went to college. I still went in and got a career after college in finance, and then went to an engineering firm. But I still always had this idea in my head. And in 2015, I decided to take a course. It was an expensive course. It was like $2,000 on like how to build an online business, selling courses and stuff like that. Just because I had no idea what to do, and that at least gave me an intro into online business, because I started realizing I was like, I have to go with the internet just because of the leverage that it offers. I knew more and more attention was going to the internet. It was the best way to find clients or customers and build an audience and just create immense leverage. So I went that direction. I had to choose a niche for this program. I chose the social skills niche because I'd gone through my own transformation of like being low in confidence, not very good at like meeting strangers and making friends. And I moved to a new city in 2000, early 2000, like 2010 or 12 or something. And basically I was like, oh my gosh, it's really hard to make new friends in a new city as a young adult. Went through this transformation, learned it, and I was like, wow, there's a ton of people out there who struggle with the same thing. I can teach that to these people. So that was the niche I went with. Went through this whole process, years of going through it. I built a course, I started building an email list, I built a blog, I was driving traffic to my blog, and it was going decent, but I wasn't making that much money. I never broke like $10,000 in a whole year, so I wasn't close to replacing my job or anything like that.
Right.
Got into Twitter and found Money Twitter and started seeing what people were doing there. Started building up my own social media presence, and then hired my first coach, Jose Rosado, in 2020. And he's like, dude, you should start coaching people. And I was like, oh, maybe I should, but I had no idea how. And in 8 weeks, he helped me set it up and get my first few clients. And then I think I almost hit $10,000 in those 8 weeks. And I was like, wow, I'm making more in these first 2 months than I was in like a whole year with what I was doing before. So that's when I first like got the idea of like, okay, there's something real with coaching. Kept doing that for a little bit, and then for a few reasons, I won't dive too deep into it, but I started kind of just falling out of interest in the niche, and working with those clients was not the most fun for me. I wanted to do other things, but I had realized that there was something to coaching. And so I eventually, I think it was like 6 months later, I took a life coaching certification program, just because I didn't even really want to be a life coach, but I just figured I just wanted to keep learning about coaching. And it's like, these skills could only help me become a better coach and teach me more about coaching. As I was going through that, I had to give like 20 free sample coaching sessions to practice the skills they were teaching me. And then that's also how they teach you to like get life coaching clients. And even though I knew I didn't really care to go that route, I was like, I'll still follow through with everything they're telling me to do. I got my free coaching clients, those free sessions, off Twitter, off the friends I was making there. I was like, hey, anyone want, free coaching sessions I have to do? And a lot of people took me up on it. A lot of those people were like fitness trainers and stuff. One was like Coach Raj, and there's a few other people. And with life coaching, they come to you with the agenda. You don't like, it's not like I'm going to teach you how to go from A to B. It's like, you bring the agenda and I'll help you work through it. Well, they all wanted help with their online businesses. And since I had done the coaching stuff, I knew how to get clients, how to craft a good offer, how to do all like build a social media presence. I was like actually able to help them with their coaching businesses. And then they basically start coming back and say, hey, can I pay for more help on this? And that's where the genesis of this like really began. Right. And then I sold my first package for like $200, and then the next one at like 800, and then 3,000, 6,000, 9,000, 12,000, just went up from there. And that's how I got into it.
Right. Don't put that negative. There you, Colin.
Yeah, someone else was walking in.
All good. What was I gonna say? But Rob, I think going back to what you were saying earlier, like a lot of that definitely really resonated with me, and I'm sure Colin, you could probably relate to a lot of this too. Like when I was first getting into the online space myself, it was like you kind of have no idea. You're kind of just like grasping at straws, trying to figure out like what the hell actually works, and like I think my very first kind of uh, expedition into the fitness realm was like my blog that I had like a year ago that doesn't even really exist anymore. And I would just like, I was like, I'm gonna just post a lot of my blog, and I'm gonna have like ads running there, and I'm just gonna like make money from that. And like, it's not that that model cannot work for like anybody. Like, I'm sure there's people out there that who are really good at it, that do it and are successful, but I think it's a lot harder to get that going from the beginning compared to something like coaching, where you need a lot fewer clients to make a sizable income, and eventually achieve that kind of financial freedom. But it's really cool to hear. I mean, well, maybe Colin, maybe I'll ask you first. Like, what did you like your first kind of when you first got into business? Was that like what did you know you were going to be a coach for sure, or was it like you were kind of unsure and you kind of just you found your way into it?
Because ultimately, I was in college for physical therapy when I first started coaching. Because I always loved the human body. I loved helping people, and so when I was in college, I was like, oh, physical therapy, easy choice. And I was going through my clinicals. I had a shadow an inpatient and outpatient treatment centers, and I was like, man, like these guys don't know what they're talking about. Like genuinely, like if someone came in with like a shoulder or a back problem, we had to we had to address the back problem and not what caused the back to be in pain. So if they had a herniated disc, why did that happen? Was it because their hips were tight, their ankles hurt, their knees? And I was like, okay, I want to help you. I want you to be cured. I don't want to see you again. I'd rather see you walking down the street or something, not in here. And so I was like, man, like this sucks. I was like, okay, what if I could translate this, what I know, to do something different and help somebody on my own and not have to worry about the insurance rules or worry about what a boss has to tell me. And so that ultimately ended up leading me into saying, okay, you know what? Fuck college. I don't want to do this. So I dropped out and I was like, okay, now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And then I threw things together and ultimately landed onto Twitter, and
100%.
the rest became history.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and I think like so for me, it was a similar story to what Rob was saying. It's like you kind of you're thinking about some of these different things, like, oh, maybe I'll do a blog, maybe I'll sell info products, maybe I'll do this, and this, and then you eventually kind of land on coaching. And maybe we could talk a little bit more about that too, Rob. Like, I guess what was the kind of the key decision to you that made you realize like, oh, I should definitely like become a coach, as opposed to like maybe going some of these other routes? Because there are people, like I said, like there are people who are successful in the online world, doing different kinds of things. So just interested
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah. What I love about coaching is it's a great stepping stone to other business models in the online world.
yeah
That forces you to actually be good at what you do to succeed before going into those other routes. Like you
sure
can sell courses, but the problem is you need a ton of traffic to make good money with it, which means you likely need to have like a big email list or be really good with ads. And your course has to be good and get people results also. And if you just go out and build a course, like with my social skills stuff, that's kind of the way I went. I went and built this really big in-depth course, and I think it was pretty good, and some people that bought it liked it and stuff, but like you don't know how good it is because you haven't really tested it. It's like it's all your theory. Even if it's stuff you've experienced, it's still theory because you haven't taught it to others and put them through it.
yeah
With coaching, you're forced to learn it. It's like if you give someone an action to do, or and they do it and it doesn't get them results, you have to work through that and be like, okay, what if people take this action, it doesn't help? Okay, now how do I solve that? And after you work with 10, 20 clients or whatever, you start to really see the patterns of like human behavior. Like, what are the things that they get tripped up on? How can we overcome those? How can we prevent them in the first place? How do we determine which route they should go, if they're A person or B person? And then once you get good enough at that and you're like, okay, my coaching system is really reliable, then you can go package that into a course and it's going to be good because you've already solved those problems. And then that brings us back to, with coaching, you only need a few clients per month to make pretty decent money if you're selling multi-$1,000 packages. And so you can get started pretty quickly if you can get out there and find the right market and position your offer correctly and learn how to sell it. And those things can be taught a lot faster than like building a big audience and stuff. And so it's a good way to get started, start making some money, get better at your craft, build that expertise. And then while you're doing that, you can start to build up your audience, build up your credibility, get those testimonial stories. And then, if you're starting to build an email list or social media following, then you can start to go off into these other directions. And then beyond that, I think coaching is a great business to also scale. You can get people to help you fulfill your clients. You can go to group packages and stuff like that. And there's a lot of things you can do to really minimize your time while still getting your clients equally good results, and creating resources for people who can't afford the higher ticket solutions, that like courses and stuff that can help them in the beginning, and then if they eventually become ready, hire you. So I think it's just a good way to get started, force you to get good at what you do, and then offer a good path to scalability.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and I think that the scalability piece is a big one that people overlook too. It's like separating time from money, right? Like if you're able to get somebody still the same good result, but it's like less of your time, and that's just like a net win, because then you can scale faster and you're just more productive. But I think you hit the nail on the head earlier too when you were talking about how as you're coaching clients, it's like you're learning, like because chances are, if you not chances are, like if you're a coach, you should be obviously very knowledgeable and skilled at what you do, right? So like for fitness, right, like Colin and I are in the gym like 7 days a week, we're working out consistently, and like I know how to build muscle, I know how to lose weight, I know how to do all these things. But it's different when you go and you have to teach that to somebody else, because chances are like the exact kind of framework or pattern that worked for you is a little different. Like other people are going to struggle with different things. Like maybe for somebody in fitness, right, like maybe it's for client A, like building muscle is super easy, but fat loss is hard. And then maybe for client B, it's like they're able to like they need to like really aggressively ramp up their calories in order to even have the surplus they need to build muscle, but fat loss is super easy for them. So everyone's kind of in a different boat, right? I mean, Colin, I'm sure you relate to that as with your clients. I mean, I know you're more focused on bulking, but I'm sure there's a lot of different issues that you'll run into with your clients.
Yeah, depends. I wish I could say, oh yeah, here's a one size fits all, this is going to work for you. But I know my maintenance is at 4,500 calories a day, and I know some clients have a 2,000 calorie maintenance, and they're eating dinner every night. That's it. So we're obviously far off. And then the ones that do have the higher one, they're usually not even near where they need to be at. So it's all just going to be, okay, like you're at where you need to be at, let's try this instead. Or you got to start fucking eating, actually. Like you don't eat breakfast.
Put a jar of peanut butter in your office and a spoon right next to you at all times.
Yeah, I want you to go to the store. I don't care which one you find, but I want you to find the biggest jar of peanut butter and a spoon, the biggest spoon you can find, and that's what you're doing. That is breakfast, lunch, dinner. You need 3 jars. All right.
It's actually funny you mentioned peanut butter specifically, because I had a client who just finished up with me. It was a muscle building client, right? Put on like 10 pounds of mass during like 3 months or so. And he, peanut butter was like one of his go-to like bulking foods because of just how calorie dense it is. Like it was always like if he needed to get in some extra calories, like peanut butter, he'd put that on like a bunch of different things. It was really successful for him. But
I had a client that they carried around a tub of barbecue sauce. Everywhere they went, they had a tub of barbecue sauce. And barbecue sauce is a lot more calorie dense. And
yeah,
he said he was throwing like 4 or 5 tablespoons for everything. I was like, man, like it works.
It's a way to do it.
That's the thing, like people hate on sugar, and like you obviously don't want to get yourself into like high insulin response and all of that and like jack up your body. But if you're burning a ton of calories, like putting some sugar in your body is not a bad thing. It's like dude, pour honey on everything. Like the peanut butter obviously isn't sugar, but it's like the barbecue sauce. It's if you're burning those calories, and you need to get them in you, like that's one solution. I just wouldn't recommend doing it right before bed and doing a ton of sugar at like once.
It depends on, with simple sugars like that too, I feel like it's really like timing dependent. Like having those structure around your workouts, especially, like that's huge. And I know from like when I was doing, even if it's just a strength training session, but especially when I was like training hard for the Chicago Marathon this past fall, it was like tons of simple sugars like that, like before the run, during the run. Like that's what's going to really fuel you. And because you're going to be burning through carbs left and right as you're running, especially. Also when you're lifting to a lesser degree, but especially when you're running. And so you got to be having that replenishing effect as you go. But there's something else. There's something else I was going to mention too. But yeah, I think to Colin's point earlier, like a lot of people would look to barbecue sauce and say, oh, this is like, maybe not the healthiest option, but at the end of the day, right? Like if that's going to get the clients like where they want to go, or I think maybe even a more classic example of this in the fitness world is like diet soda versus regular soda, right? For like weight loss, because sure, like is diet soda, like is it a health food? Is it the pinnacle of health? Probably not, but it's way better than regular soda, right? Like because if you're somebody who drinks like a liter of Coke a day, and then like you substitute that for diet soda, like you're gonna have like you're gonna cut down your calories way more than it would have been. So
Yeah, and everything has to be taken in context too. Like if you take diet soda and regular soda, like I'm not saying diet soda is worse for you, but let's say it is. But you
yeah,
look at the big context of it, of what's worse, the artificial sweetener or being overweight.
exactly.
And
Yes,
the answer is most likely being overweight is worse. And so if
100%.
that's going to be your ticket to losing fat and actually creating a healthier body, then yeah, then that is a good tool to use. So it's, you really need to look at like the overall picture. Like if having barbecue sauce is going to help you gain weight, which helps you put on muscle, and lean muscle is a key component of like living a longer, healthier life, then maybe that's a tool you use for now, but you just don't do that for the rest of your life, right? You bulk with
Yeah,
it to get through it, and then maybe over time you start improving your habits. You turn that to like maple syrup or honey, some like maybe healthier
exactly.
sugars and stuff like
Exactly.
that.
It's like a
But
stepping.
yeah, but you also have to take in like the lifestyle components, the habit components, and I think that goes for anything, whether it's like
Yeah,
my type of coaching or fitness
that's what I
coaching.
was
It's like
about to say.
you have to look at how am I going to get this person from A to B, and oftentimes giving them B is not the solution. It's getting them to A.1, A.2, A.3 until they become that person.
Exactly. And I was going to follow up with like but maybe like Rob, so to give people a sense, like what's an example of something like that, maybe in your kind of space with business coaching?
Yeah, I mean, it's like habit building. It's
Yeah.
creating the time that you work on your business every day, things like that, being very like even something as simple as accountability. Like if I talk to someone 3 times a week and I just check in, I'm like, hey, what is it you're going to work on today, and what are you hoping to accomplish? And then the next time I'd be asking like, okay, did you accomplish the thing we spoke about last time? What are you going to do today? Something simple like that gets them, okay, I know I need to be prepared for what I'm going to do that day. And so that forces clarity, and if they're confused they can ask me a question. So that simple habit just gets them in the thing. And like let's say someone's starting like an outreach campaign, I'm not going to tell them to go DM 30-50 people a day, because they're going to burn out or they're not going to do it. I might just have them do like 3 a day, and then move it to 5 a day. It's like, so a lot of it is just like building those habits, because doing 5 a day sucks when you're not good at it. And every time you do it, you don't know if you're doing it right. And it's hard. And so, but once you get them over that hurdle of like, oh, this isn't as uncomfortable, then doing 5 a day is not as hard. And then you want to get to a point where they're like, yeah, I know where to find these people. Da, 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 da. Okay, I go in, I know how to craft a message. And now once they're comfortable, it's like, okay, I just got to sit down, spend 45 minutes doing this, boom, I'm done. So it's really about understanding where they're at, what's holding them back from doing what they need to do, and giving them kind of baby steps to get clear and comfortable with that process.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I'm trying to think back to like when I sent my very first DM on social media and like how that felt compared to like now it's like I have DM conversations with like tons of people every day. But that when when I very first got started, it was like the scariest thing ever. It was like I think I DM'd like maybe my second or third follower, and I was like, hey, like thanks for following. Like, I wasn't even trying to like, I had no intention at all of like even talking about my program or anything. I don't even think I had a program at the time. I was just like, I just want to connect. It's like, hi, I'm Grant, like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But then it's like you get better at it. I'm sure Colin, you probably had a similar
Yeah.
experience when you started something.
Especially like over time, you start out saying, "Hey, like, thanks for following me." You send like a whole paragraph about everything, and like, you do this, like, I can help you do this, blah blah blah, and like, eventually, like, okay, like, you receive the thousands of DMs, and you're like, okay, like, why would I want to respond to this if this person's not willing to respond to this? And so it
100%.
just goes from on and on there.
100%, 100%. Cool. Yeah. Next kind of question I have for you here, Rob. So, if you're somebody new to the online business world, or somebody just starting out, like, what's like maybe one piece of advice, uh, given that you've been in the world for probably like 10 plus years, maybe not 10 years. I don't know exactly how long you said, but for a while you've been in the online space. Like, what's some advice you give to somebody just beginning their online fitness journey, or not necessarily their fitness journey, but like their online business journey, I guess.
I mean, it's gonna sound like cliche or vague or whatever, but basically, you need to figure out why are you there? Like, who are you there to serve? How do you want to help people? Like, what problem do you want to help them overcome? What goals do you want to help them achieve? And really try to just visualize how you would like to help people. You may need to think through the skills you have, the interests you have, the things you're good at, like whatever it's called, ikigai. It's like the connection. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like,
No, we've talked about this.
yeah, it's basically like what you're good at, what you love doing, what others really want, and I forget what the other one is. And you're trying to really just think through those things and like remember that people are only going to follow you or seek your advice if they know what that is and if it clearly helps them in a specific way. So you really need to just kind of think through those things and figure out like, how do you want to help people? I really believe in not just goal setting, but like visualizing your future, like vividly thinking like, what do I want my life to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Like, what does my ideal day look like? What does my work look like? What does my free time look like? And then thinking, okay, what's it going to take? What does that person have to get that, right? Okay, I have to have a business that's making $1 million a year while I'm only working 3 hours a day. Okay, cool. So like, now how do I back into that? What does that business do? Like, what are the things pulling in the revenue? And then like I keep backing into, okay, so what does my life look like in 2 years that's getting me to that point? So what's it going to look like in 2 years? What about 1 year? Okay, so if that's what's like in 1 year, what does it look like in 2 months? And then I start to develop a plan to, okay. And what's good about this is it's telling your brain, like it's telling your subconscious, this is the goal, this is what's going to happen, and I can see that it can happen, and I know that it's going to happen, and so I'm just going to create solutions to make that happen. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, awesome book, really dives into like the science and application of that type of stuff. And then you start to realize like the stuff you have to do for the next 2 months isn't that much. Like, it takes a lot of the overwhelm out of it. It's like, okay, I really just need to do XYZ, whatever. It's like the few things to get me one step closer, the few things to get me one step closer. And so those would be like the two big things I would focus on, because if you're going to build a bit, like if you're going online to make money, you're trying to build a business. Like, that's what you're doing. You're either freelancing or you're building a business. You're trying to make money for yourself. So why not do it right the first time? Like, try to really go in the direction that is going to create the life you want. Don't just try to make a quick buck and then all of a sudden pivot later, because that's all just gonna be wasted times. Whatever you're gonna do, you want to be a master at. You want to be an expert. Like, I truly believe that you should always seek mastery for like your life. And so you want to try to choose something that 30 years from now, you're still trying to get better at it. And if you start doing that thing today, a year from now, you're going to be pretty good at it. 2 years from now, you're going to be really good at it. 10 years from now, you're going to be a complete expert at it. And so by doing those practices, it just helps guide you in the right direction. And then if you're focusing on how you can help people, then you can start to craft messages and advice and things that make people want to seek more of your advice because it's solving their specific problem.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I think you touched on something earlier that I wanted to kind of go back to. And it was like, I think basically like when you said like, if you zoom back out, if you zoom out for like, years into the future, right? But then you zoom back in on like, months, weeks, and then eventually get down to like the day. It's like really all about kind of solving that one problem that's in front of you. And then like, you solve that one problem at a time. And eventually, right? It's like you gotta really, and I think it sounds simple, but like a lot of people, I think it's like you focus on too far on like the big picture and I'm like trying to figure out like, oh, what's going to happen if I do this, this, and this. And instead, like, you really got to solve the problem that's actually right in front of you. And the better you're, right. You know what I'm saying, Rob?
Yeah, 100%. And something I've been doing like recently that's really helped, because sometimes you'll have kind of like a lot of projects in your head, like, oh, I want to create a course, I want to create a lead magnet, I want to create an ad set and do this. And then it's like, oh, which one do I work on? Like they're all important, and like it can get like pretty jumbled up. And when you go through that process I spoke about, and then you start to think, okay, you can start to come up with like a list of projects that are going to help you hit like maybe that 1 year goal. And then as you set that 2 month goal, it's like, okay, what are the absolute necessary projects I need to hit my 2 month goal? And then once you really prioritize, like, okay, I need this to be able to do this, right? Like you just start prioritizing. It's like, okay, I can't really do anything until I complete this project. So I'm going to focus on that. And then I'm going to do that. And then once you really kind of organize that and say, okay, so I think I can accomplish these projects in the next 2 months, and I need to do this one first, and then this one, and then this one. That clarity and confidence, because when you get to that level of detail, you feel really good about your plan. You're like, okay, I've thought this through. I see how it's going to work in the future. With that level of confidence and that level of clarity, it makes it a lot easier to wake up and attack that one project in front of you. And so the thing I do is I have like my daily things I have to do, right? I have to like check in with clients, answer their questions in Slack. I need to do some social media stuff. So I have like daily and weekly like to-dos. And then I take the one project I'm working on, break that into dos, and put that in with my daily stuff when I have time. And as I accomplish that, it's like I know I'm getting closer to that 2 month goal because I've already thought that through and broken out the tasks I have to do. And so when I working through it that way has been like super helpful for me.
100%. 100%. I have a random book recommendation that's kind of unrelated, but I guess maybe it ties into this point we just gave. It's called 10 Pillars of Wealth by Alex Becker. I don't know if either of you guys have read that. He's like a successful tech entrepreneur. I think his business is like somehow related to Facebook ads or something, doesn't matter. But basically in the book, he talks about how essentially, right, like solving that one problem, it's like that is really the key to moving forward. So I think like planning it all out and, the way that you kind of described there, Rob, where it's like, okay, you have like this project you want to do, this project you want to do, this project you want to do, but like which one of them do we actually prioritize? Like making that decision is really important for the success of your business. So
yeah, it also makes it just like less like overwhelming and stuff. And like I don't know, the way it's worked for me is like it just simplifies. It's like it takes a big project, but the goals don't really change, right? Like you can update them if you kind of think of like, oh, I actually want this or that. You can update them over time, but for the most part, the like longer term goals don't change much. And so it's like, because I've been that type of person who over plans, right? You spend so much time planning, you don't actually get anything done. And then by the time you finish planning, you need to replan because things have changed, and it's like you're just in plan mode. And I think it's a form of procrastination in some sense, but it also can just be like it just get like sometimes it's unproductive to do, right? And so doing that helps you only focus on the 2 months. You plan for that pretty quickly. You prioritize projects, and then you pick the project, and then you go for it. And so it keeps you from over planning and actually accomplishing it while also getting towards your goals.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it's worked for me. My biggest like piece of advice here would be you gotta figure out what works for you though. Like I've tried so many other people's systems and they never worked for me until I finally figured out my own. And I think that's just key for working out, for any type of goal. It's like you have to find what works for you. And so take everything other people are saying with a grain of salt. Even my advice right now, like it might not work for you, but you got to figure out what does.
Absolutely. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's your own N=1 sample, right? Like that's all that matters. And I think like the fitness analogy, well, there's a few fitness analogies I kind of see with this, but one thing you touched on earlier, we talked about over planning, but underdoing, I guess. Like that's, I think something you see I see a ton, and I'm sure Colin, you see this a ton in the fitness world too, is like, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. Like I'll start the diet tomorrow, or else I'll join the gym next Monday. And then Monday rolls around and you're like, well, maybe I'll do it next week. And then that week rolls around. And like, oh, well, Christmas is coming up. So I guess I can't do it this week. And then you end up never actually doing it. But I don't know, Colin, I'm sure you see that a ton too. But
oh yeah, people say, oh, I'll start next Monday. I'll start my diet. I'll go to the gym 6 times a week. I'll work out for an hour every day. And then Monday rolls around, they might have worked out and they hit their diet, but the next day they're like, oh man, like my body hurts, I'm sore.
yeah,
Those frosted flakes look really good in the cabinet right now. And next thing you know, is on day 4, they're already back to where they started, and they've ultimately made no progress besides having the validation that they went to the gym 3 times.
Yeah. Frosted Flakes are good though. I mean, those used to be when I was back when I would have cereal regularly through breakfast, like when I was in high school before I really got into fitness and everything. Those are like one of my favorites. I don't know about you guys.
Big childhood
Reese's Puffs.
winning cereal for sure.
Reese's Puffs was the way to go.
Reese's Puffs, yeah, Reese's
Puffs. That was my go-to every single day. I feel like
the specialty cereal.
I think bougie life growing up.
Count Chocula.
Yeah, one of the biggest scams in the fitness industry, or maybe the food industry, is more adequately named. Like that, the idea that cereals are actually a health food and that they're healthy, like that is so far from the truth, but it's like so widely kind of put forth that that's actually true, and it's
like Cheerios, right, dude? Heart healthy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Except for the fact they're filled with like 20 different seed oils and other garbage and shit.
I'd say Cheers are pretty good every now and then, but
I mean every now and then, sure. But
yeah, but every morning cereal isn't a really good go-to for most people.
I mean, and dude, I think I talked about this maybe on an earlier podcast, but like for me, it was like high school and like below, I was having like cereal, donuts, all this crap for breakfast like, on a daily basis, like all the time.
Oh, dude, my diet growing up was horrendous.
Oh, those Pop-Tarts every morning when you were late for school.
Yep, exactly. And I'm like, oh, this is a good like little
toaster strudels, man.
Oh, I've had those.
Those are so good.
Like the cinnamon sugar one too.
You put like the frosting on it.
Oh, dude. And every time you bought them, they showed you those cool designs somebody made, and yours is like a splatter.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like it. It's like ordering fast food. And it's like the photo of the burger and then like the smash, like half size thing. Yeah.
From a marketing standpoint, they did great.
Dude, it's funny. I watched this thing on like how they make the marketing images for like fast food and stuff, and it's like they don't use like half the things in the photo are not the things. It's like they use like shaving cream for the frosting. Yeah. They use they use things that like hold up better, last longer. So it's funny, like when you see food products, it's rarely like anything that they actually use.
Like if you look at a sandwich, they usually put like cardboard inserts in between like the bun and the patty
to like puff it up
just to make it look like that puffy biggerness.
Yeah.
And like if they use they won't use syrup because it's usually under like a bright hot light. So like they use car oil for some things. Like
exactly.
If you see the like syrup poured over pancakes, it's actually car oil, which is insane. But from a marketing standpoint, they killed it. They killed it.
They're making money.
That's insane. I did not know. I didn't even know that actually. I didn't know.
You gotta find the video. You have to just look up like fast food marketing secrets or something. And it's insane.
That's wild. That's crazy. Well, the more you know. That's definitely a lot.
My dog's asleep. He's doing like the like sleep growling. Jake,
Oh, he's a cutie.
Jake.
Don't wake him up. Look at him. He's happy.
Oh, dude, he's good.
The advantages of being an online business owner, your dog can sit in your office with you while you're working. So
Dude, it's a huge benefit like that a lot of people don't think about. So when I was back in California, my wife and I both worked and we were both in an office. And dude, he was home all day by himself and like sucked. We felt bad for him. Like I wouldn't have gotten a dog under those circumstances, but we adopted him from my wife's parents just because the stuff that happened that they couldn't keep him anymore. And so like we felt guilty. And so we did get a dog walker who'd come at lunch every day and walk him, but still he was like home alone for like 8 hours by himself. And so, like going into full-time coaching, it's like now I get to take him on like 3 walks every day. He's with me during the house. So it's just that's a huge benefit for sure. Like one of the many, but that's one of the awesome things about working from home.
absolutely. Very cool.
And then taking a little bit of a pivot here. For online coaches starting out, what do you see as the biggest problem most have?
Great question.
Okay. I think it's confidence around their program or offer. So sometimes like people get help on their offer or they'll create an offer and they'll be decent, but they don't have the confidence behind it. So they're on a sales call and that confidence just comes through. Like, and this ties to the program. It's like if they're giving away like a guarantee or a promise or they just don't know how to explain it well, they're like, yeah, and so I'll coach you for 3 months and we'll get you in shape. And they're like, so either the program, like it's all mixed around the offer and the program, and it's their confidence and how they articulate it. When people have an offer and a program that they feel really good about, they know they're gonna get people results and they know that people are gonna be like, wow, that sounds really good. When they pitch it to people, that comes out with confidence and then that gets them sales and stuff. A lot of people in the beginning that they struggle with is like either their offer is just not good or it's good but they don't feel confident about it, or they don't feel good about the program behind the offer. And so when it just really comes through when they articulate it, because a lot of beginners, they haven't really thought through the like marketing of the offer. It's like, how do I make this sound like what the prospect wants? Like if you're just pitching, most people just pitch the features, right? So we're gonna have weekly calls and I'm gonna give you a training program, and yeah, and so the price is $1,000 for 3 months. And person's like it sounds cool, but I don't know, it's kind of expensive, whatever. But it's like if you like position it as like the benefits and like how you can solve their problems, like yeah, like we're gonna nail down your nutrition so you can still eat the food you love, you don't have to count calories, but you're also going to be able to go out with your friends and this and that, blah blah, and while like eating in a calorie deficit so that you lose weight without even really thinking about it. All you have to do is send me photos of your food and I'll tell you exactly like if you're on the right track or not, and blah blah. Like there's a whole process of going through it, but when you know how to present your offer and your program, that's the number one thing I think people struggle with.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, offering $1,000 at first. Mine was $100 a month starting out.
Yeah, I mean mine was 6 months for $200, so that was a pretty low priced offer as well.
Yeah, $100 a month. And honestly, I had no idea I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing.
That brings me into a good point too, because a lot of people come to me and they're like, what if, like, can I be a coach if I'm not an expert? And I'm like, well, you want to be good at what you do, but you don't have to be the best right away. Like you can build your way into becoming a good coach. And so the way that you do that, because it's really hard to try to sell a high ticket program if you don't feel confident in your ability to help people, but you can charge $100 or $200 and like that's a fair trade, right? Like they're not paying that much, but you're helping them achieve their goal. Like just having you on their side is huge. And then as you start helping people, you're getting better at it, you're learning more about what you do. You start increasing the price. And so by going that way, it's like you can work your way up to the prices you deserve so that at every level, each of you are getting the right value. Like you're not overcharged, you're never overcharging them, but you're also becoming a coach that can soon charge like good amount of money for your program.
All right, I'm putting a pause for 30 seconds. They turn up the music in here, so I gotta move to the different room for like 30 seconds.
Go
Yeah,
for
for
it.
sure.
I can't really hear anything, but either way.
Yeah, I didn't hear it either.
Anyway, Rob, going back to something you said earlier, I mean, first of all, like definitely resonate with like the charging like a very low price at the beginning and like not really knowing, and which I think is fine to do for the first few clients because, like a lot of times I was very open with my first few clients that like, hey, this is kind of like a testing ground, right? And like, I think I gave them like a couple free months or something first, and then I was like, hey, if we want to keep going, I can do, we could do this for like 300 for like a 3-month program or something, like not much money. And they were like, they're both like, yeah, like let's do it, let's get started. And like one of those two clients actually was like arguably like my most successful client like to date. Like he crushed it, was like super on board with everything, lost like over 25 pounds, like maintained strength in all his lifts, like still talk to him sometimes today. And like it's crazy, like that part I definitely really resonated with. And then the other thing I also think I resonated with was like when you were saying like, hey, when you're presenting your program to somebody, like don't like not you don't need to go into like the nitty gritty details of like every single little thing, because ultimately like what people care about at the end of the day is like, can I lose those 25 pounds? Can I gain that 10 pounds of muscle? Can I take my bench press from 135 to 185 or whatever it is, right? Like whatever their goal is, like they care that you can do that. So like what I've learned over time, and like this is something I mistook badly in my first few sales calls, was like I would just go into the details of everything, and like everyone's like, okay, no, I don't care. Like how does this help me, right?
Yeah.
Versus like when you present things as like focus on the specifics and how it relates to them and what they are actually going to be doing, like their specific path, like that's what they care about. So
Yeah.
that's
You want to walk them through a journey of what it's going to be like working with you and why that's going to make them hitting their specific goal like super likely, like very likely to work, which means not going to be a ton of effort, not going to be too hard to like create all these habits. They're not going to hate doing it, and the results are going to come. And it's like, first we're just going to assess your situation and create a custom roadmap for you. Like you specifically want to get to like bigger, stronger muscles, particularly your bench. You want to get to like, benching 2 plates. Awesome. We're going to really assess exactly what your goals are beyond that and create a roadmap so we can get you right there. Then we're going to do some really quick wins on your habits. We're going to get you on a consistent gym schedule so that it's easy to put into your life and that you actually look forward to going. So that, most of my clients, when they first come in, they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to want to go 3 times a week. And then after 2 weeks, because we incorporate lifts they like, we make a program that they enjoy. After 2 weeks, they're like, can I put a 4th or 5th day in? Like, I really enjoy this. So that's what we're going to do right in the beginning, just to make these habits sustainable. And then we're going to really look at the long-term guidance. Like you're going to learn how to perfect your form, how to eat right, how to do everything that's going to sustain and help you grow as fast as possible, also for the long term. And then finally, we're going to do all the optimization to get you there as fast as possible. And so, it should only take about 3 months to get from X to like A to B. And that's what's going to look like working together. And so, we didn't go into a ton of the stuff there, right? We focused, like you said, on his goal. We didn't talk about the nutrition details, this and that. But if you're talking to someone who wants to lose weight, and their biggest struggle is like, oh, I don't want to have to stop going out with friends on the weekends because like, I don't want to give up my social life to get in shape. You address those things. Like we're going to talk, like we're gonna get some quick wins so you can still go out on the weekends, you know, have some drinks, like have fun, keep your social life, but also keep your weight loss going like in a healthy, sustainable way that addresses that, and blah blah blah. And so yeah, that's huge, is to like focus it on the specific person.
100%, 100%, Rob. Yeah, definitely.
But the thing I was really touching on there was the fact that they need to be able to visualize. Like this goes back to like I'm huge on like psychology and like making people be able to visualize it. Because if you say, "Oh, I'm gonna help you lose weight," like yeah, compare these two offers. One is like, "I'll help you lose 25 pounds in the next 3 months," or 20 pounds, whatever. And the other is like, you know, like I recently worked with a client and he was about like 25 pounds overweight. He really wanted to get in shape. You know, summer was coming up and he just hated taking his shirt off in front of his friends. He felt weak and kind of flabby, and like it just really brought his confidence down. And the thing he struggled with is like he would be really good at dieting, but then like he'd get those hunger pangs, and at night, like he just couldn't hold it. And then he would binge on like ice cream or some food or whatever. And then he would lose like a week worth of progress, and then that would frustrate him and he'd give up. And so I helped him build a really sustainable way to lose weight where he didn't feel those hunger pains. He was able to drop his calorie, like eat in a calorie deficit, but feel full and go to sleep, you know, without rushing to the kitchen every night. And you know, in 3 months, he lost those exact 25 pounds that he wanted. And he actually has a six-pack now. And the thing he told me is like, he can't believe how easy it was to maintain this because he had so much trouble with it in the past. He thought that it really wouldn't be possible to like overcome the hunger pain. And that was the wildest thing to him, is that he's like, I feel like I could do this forever. Like he's like, I have no issues losing weight now, and it's amazing. And so that's like something I can bring to you, is like, if you really want to lose weight without, you know, struggling with eating less than your body needs to maintain its calories, it's like that's the solution I can give you. So those are like two offers. They're the same thing, but one they can visualize and picture for themselves, and the other is just words telling them. And if you can help people visualize themselves in a situation, that's going to resonate a lot more with them.
It's
I
like,
think
oh,
another,
like, oh,
I think another thing, especially with like whenever like you're pitching your offer, like if you could take the two offers and like if they could be the exact same word, you take the second example you just said, put them side by side here, and I mean it also depends on how you say it. Like if you said, "Oh, I will help you lose 25 pounds in 90 days," and or you said, "Yeah, like I can help you lose not 25 pounds in 90 days," and just by simply I said the exact same words, but your tone of how you said it was completely different. And I think that ultimately can make one of the biggest deciding factors on if you can close a call or if they move on to find a different coach.
Yeah, clarity and confidence are like two of the. I think there was like a big study. They did it on like 20 different industries, and they went through like thousands of sales calls, and they said the two biggest factors that decided if someone bought were how clear they were with the offer, and how confidently they made it seem that like they could get the person the results they want. Like, yeah, like, dude, I know for a fact, like, if you follow this program, you will get these results. And I know with certainty that you will like be able to stick with it, because I've worked with a lot of people in your situation, versus like, yeah, you know, like it's not always easy, but you know, like you can do it. Like you have to put in the work, but I feel pretty good that if you know, if you feel like if you're gonna stick to it, you'll get it. Like that's not gonna sell them. They're not gonna feel like it's gonna work for them.
100%. 100%. I just had like maybe one more quick question for you here, Rob, too, and like trying to tie the fitness back into this a little bit. How do you feel like, because I know like I've seen you posting some of your workouts on Twitter and stuff, and like, you know, staying up to date with your health and fitness, obviously super important. Like, how do you feel like that gives you an advantage as an entrepreneur over maybe, you know, some other coaches out there who maybe they don't take as good care of themselves, or, you know, they're not in as good a shape?
I think it just shows up in how you do everything in life. It's like if someone sees that you're in shape, they naturally just like think that you like are more organized, like you like have like they just they they just assume better things about you. I noticed this in the real world. Like I was in the worst shape of my life at my 9 to 5, and I also got in the best shape of my life at that time. Like I lost 25 pounds and started putting on some muscle. And like people literally treat you differently. Like they listen more, they respect you more. And like I think it just helps with all of that. Like not only do I get my own personal benefits of like I have more energy than I would, my creativity goes up, I'm just more like organized and disciplined and stuff like that. But I think people treat you differently when they know like, oh, this guy is on his stuff, he takes care of himself, he looks good. Like I think they just like feel like
Yeah,
they're going to be better taken care of because you have a better handle on things.
100%. Yeah, and I totally saw the same when I because I lost like a bunch of weight when I was starting my fitness journey too, and I saw a lot of the same things. Cool, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much all the questions I had. Colin, do you have any other questions or anything for Rob or?
In terms of questions, I don't think I have any other.
Cool. Well, I think we can probably just call it here. I mean, it was awesome having you on, Rob. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, man. Always fun to chat about fitness and coaching, two of my like favorite things in life. So I appreciate you guys inviting me on here. Always a good time. So thanks.
Absolutely, brother. No problem. No problem. All right.